Hello. Oh, no music today. Live from your left, Electric Ventricle. It's a Woke Data Wednesday spectacular here at the Woke Data Academy and Gym and Grow Lab. Joined as always by Emma Birdface Lurking and Matt Cheesehead Mascardi. I'm lump number 7 in today's Venn diagram scented bag of carpet colored nuggets called July 20th, 2022, a Woke Data ESG trigger game for ESG expert Matt Mascardi and Emma's Wokey Trendy Dumpster Dive.
Woo! Emma, I'm going to drive Emma nuts with the buttons today.
This is difficult without music in my ears. In my
Emma's already
headphones.
sweating. Like she's sitting in the UK
Why?
right now, but she's not. She's sitting next to the ocean.
No, I'm just
delightful
in
Rhode Island.
All right,
definitely.
proxy season is over, so I'm
Wah,
trying to like re-envision how we deal with our ESG Woke Data Wednesday here. So this is what I came up with today. It's a trigger. It's a Matt Woke Data ESG trigger Woke Data game. So here's how it works. Put on your emotional ESG hard hat for this one, or is it hard pants?
Yeah, because we're business pants.
Or is there an ESG Lululemon line? There must be, right?
Hard pants does sound very uncomfortable.
Let's call this the How Much Should We Care Woke Data ESG Trigger Woke Data game. Okay, so Matt, so based on your lactose intolerance, am I allowed to say that on air? Is that okay to say?
That is
outed
true.
you.
That's true. Hey, that's rude.
Based on your lactose intolerance, we'll call a strong cheese during a shared family vacation in the Vermont woods where 9 people are sharing one bathroom. We'll call that a full ESG panic cheese, okay?
Okay.
And we'll call a mild vegan cheese while alone in your home with 4 bathrooms to be a nothing to see here ESG soft spread, okay?
Oh, see, the worst part is the hard cheese is the one I can eat. The soft spread is the one that I can't.
I already screwed it up.
You're not lactose intolerant, clearly.
Thank God. Okay, here we go. So that's
So,
what we're doing.
wait.
Yeah,
Just so
I
we're
know.
clear,
Yeah,
you're just
wait,
gonna read
just
some
that
headlines.
wasn't clear.
Just
What the?
you're just gonna read some headlines to make me angry and rate them on a scale of how much cheese makes me poop.
I don't know. I want to do a service to all of our fans at places like Morningstar and Glass Lewis. I just want to throw some ESG stories at you, some Woke Data stories at you, and just see like what does the expert think? Like, is he pissed off by this? Does he think that we should care? Should the industry care? Should this be added to ratings methodology? I don't know. Whatever you think. Whatever. I mean, we're trying to get you going here, but I don't know. It's not that easy.
As long
It's not always that
as-
easy.
As long as I'm clear on what the rules are, and I have not, for the listener we have at
No prep.
Morningstar, I have done no prep. I haven't
No
read
prep.
any of these. I don't know what's going on,
This
which
is
is
Matt at
why
his
I'm
best.
confused. This is when I'm the most confused. All right, let's do this thing.
And there's no anti-woke stuff here, so you don't get to lean on
Oh, that triggers me the
Petard.
most.
that. Here we go. The first one. I'm hoping for some kind of sound effect to get me in this. It's not the bell, but no. Okay, fine. I'll take that.
That works.
Bernie Sanders. I feel like you're already upset about this.
Yeah, already. You're right. It's already downhill.
You're an anti-Semite. Bernie Sanders calls out obscene asset hoarding of the big 3 in a tweet. Sanders noted how the trio has amassed over $22 trillion in assets and are major shareholders in more than 96% of S&P 500 companies. They own an average of 21% of every company in the S&P 500. And now he's joining criticism that have come from all directions, including 2 of our favorites here, Charlie Munger and Elon Musk. So, Matt.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you this, too.
That's a trifecta.
That 21% number has doubled just in the past 7 years. So really, help us out here. Should we be alarmed? Should we be fighting back? Should we be happy? Maybe this kind of thing is good. Where? Come on, help us.
But it's funny that Munger doesn't like it because Warren Buffett is the reason why index investing, between John Bogle and Warren Buffett saying constantly, all you should do if you're a retail investor is buy an index fund. Where do you think the index funds come from?
Oh, good point.
They come from these companies who are selling you index
hypocrisy.
funds.
Charlie Munger said the rise of the big 3 is creating a new center of power for corporate governance.
Well, the the thing that they do is they vote or not, right? Which means
now
that's where
BlackRock's
their
not
power
too
comes
sure.
from.
They
Yeah,
might give you the
BlackRock-
power. They might not.
They vote some days, other days not so
BlackRock
much.
is the company that its new logo is to stick its finger in its mouth and hold it up to the wind to see like which way it's blowing, and then they'll kind of react. Thank you. Well, you don't like the idea of Larry Fink sticking his finger in his mouth? I don't understand. I thought you were all about that.
I just watched
No.
Contagion last night. That
Okay.
sounds like a terrible idea. Don't do that.
Something tells
look,
me Jude Law will not be playing Larry Fink in a movie. Something tells me.
Oh, I beg to disagree. That's
Okay,
feels like
go
it's it's gonna be Benedict Cumberbatch or
Ooh,
Jude
I'd like to see
Law
that.
or
I'd like to see
some.
that.
So look, I think this doesn't trigger me. I like the language of obscene asset hoarding. Like I'm not sure that
I
they're
like that.
asset hoarding. That's not what they're.
Ass. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just like the word ass, but
I
like because you're a child.
Maybe.
I don't. But they're the consolidation of voting power. Look,
Mhm.
if this were democracy,
Yeah.
like the voting democracy for like your senators and stuff, and this was the system, we would hate it because the system basically says if you have more money than everybody else, your vote is worth more, right? Your vote
Mhm.
is one share, one vote for the most part. So I don't know. I kind
not
of
triggered.
actually a little bit agree. I'm not triggered. Yeah, I'm not triggered.
I feel like
so
I know Emma's got to be triggered by this. Doubled
I'm
in
giving
the
this
past
a
7 years.
not triggered. This is a
Okay.
soft spread vegan
All right, moving on.
ESG cheese.
Here's a new report from the
Thanks.
AFL CEO talking about CEO pay. The report is CEOs are driving greedflation. First of all, I know you're probably upset by that term in general, greedflation. Okay,
That's an Emma term.
I
Emma
just think I can see you
Emma
hating
wants
that
to
term.
say greedflation every day now.
So
No,
the AFL CEO has
no,
put this
thank
report
you.
out for years. They're sort of one of the hallmarks of the bedrocks of the CEO pay research people. But this year's report is an attempt to reframe the national inflation discussion, emphasizing that while wage increases won by ordinary workers are drawing outsized attention, that CEO pay hikes are significantly outpacing the wage increases. Okay, and that's why they're calling it greedflation.
Clever.
Can I ask you? Did you
Yeah.
read the report? I haven't read it.
I'm gonna take the fifth, plead the fifth.
I guess the reason why I'm asking is is it total compensation or is it just like base salary or what?
That's
Because
a good question that I don't remember the answer to actually. I think it's only isn't it really only MSCI that uses the total realized compensation? They don't use the summary number. I don't know. It's a good question.
So for those of you who don't know what we're talking
Yeah.
about,
why
CEOs are
would
paid
they?
in a lot of different ways. They get like a
Mhm.
base salary like an idiot, like we do. But most of their money, like the vast majority of their money, comes from options and stock awards and stuff like that. So when they tell you how much a CEO makes, they value those stock awards at a certain date, usually when they're awarded, and they never tell you how much they're actually worth when the CEO sells that stock and like takes it home, because then it's almost always worth more and they get way more money than is listed there. So if they're using total take home compensation, which is the metric that Damien and I are talking about, then yes, they're making a tremendous amount, but it's not off like the back of a worker, it's off of like the stock. It's a little different. It's not like they went into the company, stole all the money, paid themselves and didn't pay their workers and drove up prices. They basically got paid because the market's been insane up until 6 months ago. I don't know. The underlying fact is CEOs get paid a fuck ton of money. And
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to be me.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, look. Into agreement with that
To answer
sentiment
your-
that I should get paid.
and to answer your question, thanks for filibustering while I went to the SEC website to find out this information. It looks like they are using the summary total comp in the SEC proxy filing. So they're just taking that number out. And I remind you, what they're trying to do here is reframe the discussion on inflation. That it's not because the Amazon CFO blamed incentives and rising pay as one of the reasons for money problems over at Amazon. But AFL CEO is trying to reframe that discussion to say actually It's your greed. Greedflation.
I think the thing that triggers me is like all of the system is designed so that a few people make a whole lot of money and everybody else basically
Oh, so
has
you're
to
triggered by
chase
that.
a dollar, right? Like, but that
He is
part of
triggered.
it, it's not really like greedflation. Like reframing it with stupid memey terms, I don't care that much about. All I know is that the system is designed for everyone else to not make money except for like seven people, right?
Let me
That's it.
end on this.
Yeah,
the
please,
CEO pay
end.
ratios. They talk about CEO pay ratios. The average one they're saying this year in the S&P 500 is 324 to 1. So that that means the CEO makes 324 times the median worker. And they're saying at Amazon it was the highest, and they're the ones complaining about wage increases, incentives, and operations. The pay ratio was 6,500 to 1. Let me ask you this: are these pay ratios? Are they making a dent in the narrative here? Like, does anybody care? Like, in general, like all the numbers are high, but are they just too high? Is it the whole thing
No,
just
it's an
too
awesome-
outrageous and people don't know how to like? People don't know what to. Everyone seems that every time I talk about our pathetic, piddling, middling, mediocre company.
Oh, how dare you?
Did I just say that out loud?
Tough.
Every time I talk about our great enterprise, we have some cool new data coming out called Board Sabermetrics. We have a new platform coming. We have a new website coming. But every time I talk about it, this is one of the areas where people really do relate to this runaway executive pay. But I just wonder, like over the years, the narrative hasn't changed in this direction. Like no one knows how to have this discussion, what to do about it.
So two things.
Yeah.
Number one is when both the amount of money a CEO makes goes up, like in a straight line up, and the CEO pay ratio just goes up in the same straight line. That's why no one cares. You're saying the same thing twice. Workers don't make any money and CEOs make lots of money. But the Board Sabermetrics that we developed, we actually are using CEO pay ratio as a performance indicator. So we can tell you which boards increase CEO pay ratio at the wherever they sit over their careers.
I didn't even mention all that to plug us, but thank you. I appreciate it.
No, any chance I can get. You want to know how many calls we've gotten to buy this thing from the show?
0.0?
Yeah. Less.
Nice.
Less than that.
Less than 0. Okay, but it's
someone
like
told
it's
us to
slowly
stop
getting into
talking
people's
about it.
thoughts. All right, next. We talk about gender quotas a lot, especially with boards. That's the only place I think we've seen actual mandates across the world is on boards, gender diversity mandates. This is an article talking about gender quotas for women CEOs. This is out of Australia.
Wow.
Saying that quotas may be needed to correct the dire lack of female CEOs. You triggered by this?
Yes, but the quotas are all too low. They're all too fucking low.
Okay, so he's triggered, Emma. He just swore for the first time all show.
Why are we shooting for like 30% or 40%? I would make it 80%. Give women a chance to just run it all. Make them all CEOs. Don't say like 5 women CEOs. Say all women. All the companies should have a female CEO and just see what happens. Give it 100 years. Give it 500 years. See what happens.
How about this? I kind of understand how you quantify it on a board. How do you do it for CEOs? How do you set that number? How does it work? Like a law?
You just say all companies have to have a female
That's it?
CEO.
Okay,
That's
I like
it.
it. All right.
Forget a quota.
That's
Just make
easy
it
to
a
follow.
mandate.
I like it.
That's
Easy to understand.
easier.
All right.
I like easy rules, and it works, and it's better.
All right, moving on. That was a good trigger there. Okay, this one's kind of for Emma, but mostly for Matt. There's a lot of stories about the hypocrisy of elite in their private jets, and they're preaching on climate change. This one's about Prince Harry preaching on climate change while he takes 21 private jet trips. He's chastising world leaders. He's chastising Western elites. He's talking about how the world's on fire. Should we care about this? Is this just clickbait? Is this something that the ESG world should care about? Where are we here? Emma's shaking her head. Matt is sighing because he's trying to think of something clever to say.
No, it's not that I just look. I went to 15 years of ESG conferences
on private jets.
No, but every idiot there flies over, and then they sit and they talk, and then nothing happens for real. Like the last conference I went to, you know what they talked about? They talked about how ESG ratings don't work and need to be changed. We need better standards and we need better data. You know what they talked about 15 years ago?
What?
Same fucking thing. And
Okay. Oh, he's triggered.
we basically we're flying from one side of the universe to the other side of the universe to just hear ourselves talk.
How about
the whole
this?
thing's dumb. Prince Harry,
about
I don't
Yeah.
care about.
How about a
Prince Harry.
train? How about a train mandate for ESG conferences? You with me? Train mandate.
All female CEOs, 100% train rides forever. That's
All right. See, we've solved
I
something.
I think we shouldn't be allowed to cross oceans anymore. There's no need. Just make a phone call. You don't need to go across the ocean.
Unless Elon Musk, that boring tunnel comes through, we can shoot
The
across
last
the
thing I
Pacific.
want to get in is a tunnel
Through the
built by
Atlantic?
Elon Musk under the Atlantic Ocean.
But
That's
he's
the last
solving
thing.
something. That Twitter thing is going well. All right,
That's the
moving on.
worst idea.
Number 5. This one's called How Secretive Methane Leaks Are Driving Climate Change. Massive methane leaks, known as super emitter events, have been taking place at oil and gas fields across the world. This study is talking about one that just happened in Mexico that discharged 40,000 tons of methane, which is the equivalent of 3% of Mexico's annual oil and gas emissions. Go. Triggered. Are you triggered by this?
I'm
Wh-
triggered
what-
by that calling it secretive methane leaks. It makes
Okay,
it seem like
Secretive
some
methane leaks.
it happens in like some back room. Really, what it
Yeah.
is methane's hard to detect, and it's like emitted constantly.
Will
But
the
it is
new
a
disclosure
horrific
rules
problem.
from the SEC, will they help quantify this? Could they
No.
help quantify this? No.
No.
Do you
I
think-
mean, no.
Yeah. Okay.
We're all dead. I don't know what you.
Okay, let's move on. I think he's triggered by this one, Emma, but it's a different
Yeah.
kind of, it's a sad suicidal trigger.
Yeah, now she's
She
got to
shushed
beep
me?
you. Yeah, she shushed
Go
you.
ahead. She shushed me, but I'm waiting for the
No,
beep.
Keep going. Keep going.
right. Up next. Ooh, thank you. Meta. Okay. Meta hit some of its 5-year diversity goals. They just released their diversity progress report. And hey, this, as you can probably guess, this is all about framed around the question of should we give Meta some credit for this? But okay. But first of all, hey, they're releasing a diversity progress report, which again is not mandated anywhere. They're doing this on their own. The company pledged in 2019 to double the number of Black and Latinx employees and number of women globally. By 2024, they already fulfilled those goals. And let me tell you some leadership numbers.
When you set a goal to go from one black person to 2 black people, is that really that hard to achieve? You set a
leadership-
make-believe goal?
In 2018, 70% of Meta leaders were white. In 2022, that number's down to 58% are white. So are you ever going to give Meta credit? Should we be giving companies credit? And do these types of diversity progress reports, do they land anywhere in ESG ratings? Let me ask you that.
Do you
they,
ever see a diversity report from a company that doesn't say they increased their diversity? Like
he's asking me a question, Emma, to respond to my question.
That's not how that works, Matt.
I'm asking a rhetorical question, which is, companies disclose this stuff when they
Yeah.
have really great stuff to disclose, and when they don't, because it's
That's the-
voluntary, they mostly don't.
Does Meta deserve any credit at all?
No, it's a dictatorship.
No,
Like,
Emma's shaking her head.
If,
No.
if Mark Zuckerberg wanted it to be 100% black people, except for him, next year, he's the only one in charge. He has no shareholder votes. He can vote out the board himself. So what am I
Okay, let
celebrating
me ask you
here?
this. Let me ask you this. You're a client of, say, I don't know, Morningstar, Sustainalytics, MSCI, and you're trying to decide about your investments in Meta. Does this report, does it even figure in?
No,
How do you know about
I
it?
didn't invest in Meta because I don't believe a college dropout should run the entire universe.
Okay, Matt, he's
Democracy and-
diverting all. He's just
No,
like,
it's all about the dual class, like all the other stuff.
okay.
The trigger here is you said Meta, and that
All right, well,
it's a negative buzzer.
Replace Meta with Company X.
That
how do
Company
we, how
X,
do
I
we,
believe,
do we
was
give
a-
companies credit for this? And how does
Elon
that show
Musk,
up
I
in the
believe,
ESG
started
world?
Company X.
He's not going to
so,
answer. Okay,
no.
let's move on. I don't know what just happened. Ooh, let's get to the SEC. This is a good one. Probably not. On Wednesday, the SEC proposed. That was last Wednesday. I'm not a fortune teller. Proposed expanding investors' ability to resubmit proposals on ESG issues. Okay. If finalized, the changes would likely make it much harder for companies to avoid votes on ESG matters in the future. Here's where it gets interesting and nerdy, and I'm trying to trigger you. The rule as currently written allows shareholder proposals to be excluded if companies say they have been already substantially implemented or that they substantially duplicate another current proposal, or that they substantially duplicate a proposal that was previously submitted to a meeting. Okay, the amended policy would have a much higher bar, meaning that for something to be excluded on the basis of being substantially implemented, the essential elements of the proposal would have to be already in place. For claims of a duplicative proposal, the company would have to show it addresses the same issue and seeks the same objective or the same means. And finally, a proposal would only be an excludable resubmission if it substantially duplicates a prior resolution. Let me ask you this, Matt. Is this just a bunch of very high-end word salad where nothing actually has changed, nothing has shifted, nobody knows what's going on? Help me out.
I am trying to figure out like how you implement this. Right? Like it's just
It's
guidance
all very
on-
vague and squinty. It's all very subjective. Let me just put it that way.
But the rejection process of the SEC, so the process
Highly
as it worked
subjective.
was an investor would suggest a proposal, they would submit a form, the company would usually combat it. It would go to the SEC, and the SEC would say this is ordinary business or not, and it can go to vote or not. And there's guidance around what ordinary business is, and this is just refining the guidance to say something. I think honestly they could. I don't know why we need the guidance. Like they could have just let more things go to vote. Like I don't get it. It's good, I guess. It's fine.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
My final one. A study, this is at Morningstar. A study suggests low environmental and social focus in U.S. firms' proxy voting policies. They're saying that 9 out of 13 European asset managers have a high or very high focus on environmental and social themes in their proxy voting policies, compared to only 1 out of 12 U.S. firms. And here's how they do this study, Matt. They categorize into these categories: very high focus, medium focus, and low focus. Again, we're in this like strange, wishy-washy, subjective.
It's really terrible.
Is this helping anything? Is this why people hate the ESG investment world?
Yes.
Are you triggered by this? What's going on? And bonus points. What is the only company in the U.S. that has a high focus on E&S issues? That's the bonus question.
9 out of 13. This is a robust study of 13 asset managers.
13
Europe?
European and 13 American. There's 26 overall. Don't piss on Morningstar. This is a good research.
26.
26.
There's like hundreds in the world.
Is this why people have a trouble though with this with a lot of ESG researchers, because they put studies in bands of medium and low and medium high and extra spicy? Like, is this part of the problem?
I haven't read this, so maybe there's a really strong methodology behind it. But when it comes out with very high, medium, juicy, soft spread vegan, I don't know what that is. So my reaction is,
as an example, managers with low environmental and social focus also tend to express support for shareholders' environmental and social solutions on a case-by-case basis. So there's a lot of...
What the hell does that mean?
I think I actually might, and again, I'm not saying anything against the people, the analysts and the researchers who put this report together, because I used to put reports like this together. But this might be part of the reason why everyone hates ESG investing, because there's a lot of like, how do you like your toast? Like, do you like it a little brown? Do you like it mostly brown? Do you like it a little pale? Rye
but that's
bread?
a little bit more. That's more objective than.
But is it a GE toaster? Is it a 5 on a GE toaster? Or is it a 4 on a Panasonic?
I'm grading your toast on a scale of 0 to shoelaces is more.
And
like
then
what
when you
this
add
is.
in how runny do you want your eggs, this is the problem with the ESG world.
This analogy and metaphor is really falling apart. I don't like it, and I don't like it because it's as wishy-washy as every other sort of subjective signal in finance. We look at the ESG one and we're like, very high. That sounds stupid, but
didn't say stupid.
buy, sell, hold signals aren't really go out and buy that stock or hold this stock or sell this stock.
It's like
suggestion.
It's
like a suggestion of like, you might think that this stock is good to buy
59%
maybe
chance.
Sometime soon. Like that's the whole thing. Is
Okay.
ridiculous.
Before we hand it over to Emma to make this show interesting, although I'm going to say that I think this show deserves to be in the ESG Hall of Fame of podcasts. It's just this quiz alone, this lactose intolerant ESG quiz alone deserves.
Lactose did not feature nearly as much as I thought it would.
Yeah. Bonus points? Which is the outlier? Which U.S. firm is characterized as having a high E&S focus?
Oh, jeez. It's not going to be BlackRock because the whole point of these reports is to make BlackRock look bad, right?
I'll tell you right now, BlackRock is in the medium category.
Oh well, yeah, because they're never going to make them the best, they're always
Wishy-washy.
like it's.
Who's
like,
high?
it's
Come on,
like a
can you do it?
half-done
Can you pull
steak.
it out
Oh, I would guess
based on your experience? Because you probably met with all these asset managers, right? You probably met with all of them.
I have met with all of them.
Let me say this: which one impressed you the most in the U.S. actually caring?
It was almost always the ones that were tiny because they were not afraid to do something interesting.
Give me a guess. Well, you know these won't be tiny. These will be major.
There was a
these will be
firm
major.
that I met with. I'll go with like Lazard. I don't know. It's gonna be someone weird.
Give him a buzz. Give him a buzz, Emma.
A buzz for
Being wrong.
The answer is Alliance Bernstein.
Oh, Alliance Bernstein. They just bought one of our clients.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to say this.
cool.
All right, that's it. That's the.
I
what was
feel
that,
like
Emma?
I should have won. Yeah.
That was the Matt Woke Data ESG Trigger Woke Data game. And that's and that's available for licensing. If anyone wants to, I can put that together for anyone else.
My phone's
doing
ringing
ESG podcast.
already.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Matt and Damien answered all the calls we're receiving to license Damien's game. I'm gonna finish this up with my trendy dumpster dive, which is a union roundup today because unions are trendy and we love that.
Now I'm triggered. We went through the whole
welcome.
ESG part and I wasn't. Now I am.
Yeah, this is true. I do know that this does this to Matt, so I'm excited about it. Number 1, The Simpsons and Family Guy production workers are unionizing. That's it. That's all the information.
Yeah, can I just say something here, though? Not to rain on your parade, but I mean, both of the shows have been on the air for like 38 years.
Yep.
So really, like, is this a victory? Because
well, the
what
only
took them
reason
so
it's
long?
sort of a victory is because animators have been unionized for forever. Like, they've always had a big.
Isn't most of
powerful
Hollywood unionized?
Yes, that being said, these are not animators who are unionizing. These are the production staff on animated shows.
And what took you so long? Hey, I'm saying
here's
congrats,
an
but
alert.
what the hell took you so long?
Here's an alert. This just in, they announced they're canceling Family Guy and The Simpsons.
They're closing the Family Guy store in Rochester, New York.
Number 2, Activision employees announce second union ahead of game company's sale to Microsoft.
This I like more.
So this new union is one of 2 now. This specific one was established by 20 software testers.
20? You said 20?
Once
Okay,
again,
well,
it was
you know,
not a high number.
something.
The first one was also not a high number. I think the first
Small
one was
victory.
like 13.
Okay.
But it's slow
Hey,
but sure.
We're
you
getting
guys.
there.
They are under the name Game Workers Alliance Albany in collaboration with Activision's first union, the Communication Workers of America. And again,
Why do they have
that's
to
based-
collaborate?
Thank God
Just
you told
join
me
the
that.
first
Thank God.
union. Just join the first damn
They
union.
do
Yeah,
different
solidarity.
stuff.
Solidarity.
I will say though, Activision, their vote went through, and they, after the back and forth of letters that we covered here, where they kept saying how much they did on diversity and the sexual harassment issues, and they talked all about like all the things that they did, and including removing forced arbitration, which was great, and they applied it only going on a go forward basis. So everyone who had been harassed, sorry, you were harassed then, but now if we harass you, you're good for like courts. They lost their proxy vote. They were asked to make a report about what they're doing.
Sweet.
As they should.
Number 3. This one is the most in-depth out of the ones I'm doing.
Oh, God.
This is about
Here
the
we go.
Congressional
Get me a
Workers
black
Union.
tea.
Don't worry, it's not too
Okay.
long. 8 U.S. House offices file for the right to unionize. So,
Okay. 8
back
out of
in-
435. This is like Activision Blizzard numbers.
So
Yes.
give it a second.
Okay.
So there was a measure for the measure for House staffers to unionize was actually passed in 1995, but there needed to be a second approval done by both the House and the Senate, because originally this bill was passed for both Senate and House staffers to unionize. But they just never approved those regulations issued until this May. And it passed 217 to 202.
Okay, I guess that's
All
good.
of the yays were Democrats. All of the
Obviously.
nays were Republicans.
Obviously.
And of the no votes, 3 were Democrats and 3 were Republicans.
Wait,
So-
are there no independent parties? We really only have 2 parties? That's it?
Yeah, welcome to America.
Yep.
Who were the no votes? Do you know?
From
on the-
Democrats or Republicans?
No, they didn't vote.
Democrats.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a no vote. They just
Democrats-
didn't vote.
It was one person from California.
Oh,
one
that
person.
person.
From,
I hate that person.
yeah,
no
it
one likes
was.
them.
It was no one of note.
No one of
that you've seen.
note, Matt. Tell that to
Sorry,
their
no one you've
nieces
seen the
and
headlines
nephews.
regularly anyway.
So it wasn't Joe Manchin not
No,
showing
it
up.
was not.
He's a senator. How dare you?
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so there's that. And union filings were done by the offices of Representative Garcia, Levin, Kahana, Ocasio-Cortez, Stansbury, Omar, Liu, and Bush.
So actual from progressive offices.
Correct. So all of those
All right,
8 House
take it, I'll
members
take it.
are members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and it is a total of 85 staffers. So I don't know if that makes you feel better about the numbers. That's
It doesn't.
okay.
Moving on.
Another tidbit
Yeah.
is that Nancy Pelosi actually raised the minimum wage for House staffers to $45,000 this year.
From what?
From
From
I think,
5 million, which her husband just insider traded.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
totally.
okay. So it was actually a okay. How does that work?
That being said, AOC, when she came into office, established a pay floor of $50,000, and people seem to think that that pay floor was one of the catalysts of this whole movement, because she also pays her interns $15 an hour minimum.
I understand.
She's just been quietly paying people properly, which is
I don't
cool.
understand. And she was just arrested.
Yeah.
Where does
Okay. I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
But I don't understand how the money works. Like AOC can pay $15 an hour. She gets the money from somewhere. She chooses to pay it. Like, why would you not pay them 15? I don't understand. Like, if you're
Their
Nancy
tradition not
Pelosi,
to
you're
pay?
like, yeah, is it just? Are we just doing everything on tradition? If you have the budget for it, like what? I imagine AOC had to give up like one ham sandwich, like in order to pay this.
Well, doesn't it like kind of it helps to perpetuate elites
So I
working
actually
in the
do have
government
the
because if they're
answer
free.
to this.
Okay, yeah, she has an
I
actual
sort of
answer.
do have the answer to this question.
Go.
So
No, I mean
on
leave the
Capitol
show.
Hill, I
sign
guess
off.
the reason for not paying your staffers more, as historically used by members, is the fact that they think it would look bad and elitist to pay themselves more because they are paying their employees more.
What?
That is
They have to maintain their CEO pay ratio.
correct.
Right, but I don't understand.
Yeah.
That makes
So-
no sense to me.
They make sure the staffers don't get a living wage, so that
there is
the
no
optics
ratio.
of
'Cause
themselves.
you can't divide by zero.
can-
Because you can't divide by zero. You get an error on your Casio calculator, Matt.
That's why they figured it out. They actually
Right.
tried. They
tried.
tried to bring it down to zero.
Yep.
Thank you, Emma Lurking. Yeah.
This measure, as you know, the vote went down party lines pretty distinctly will probably not pass in the Senate, though Elizabeth
not.
Warren is on the case. And also, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a quick shout out to one of my best friends in the world, who is a
Yes.
congressional labor law fellow who worked on this very thing, and she's amazing. And
Well, name her. Come on.
Yeah, does she have a name?
Give her an
I
actual
don't know.
shout
I
out.
haven't asked her if
You
she's
don't know her
comfortable
name.
with that.
I don't know her
So
name.
I'm
I don't know her
gonna-
that well.
You don't know if she's
gonna
comfortable
hesitate
being
for now.
praised on a podcast that nobody listens to?
I'm praising her right now. I don't want to.
Okay, no name.
Out
She has
her
no name.
necessarily.
She's made up
here's-
clearly.
Here's what I like about this.
Yes.
That if you're a Republican staffer, I mean, did they just kick you in the nuts or what? Like literally you
Yep.
go to work and you look at your boss and they were like, yeah, I'm going to vote no. I'm paying you more.
Yeah, 100%. That is.
But don't they kind of expect that? Isn't that kind of the fun of the
It's
party? I don't know.
capitalism, baby. Aren't you like,
Right.
don't you then as a staffer immediately go to the other side of the aisle because you go into where the pay is higher? Right?
But
Like,
I'm assuming that these staffers know they're
if
on
you're
a
a
ladder up to
Republican,
something bigger.
it's all about
they're not.
free markets, capitalism. Make the money.
But aren't these
What are you doing?
staffers in DC for the power ladder? They're not really interested in this piddly rung of the ladder, aren't they?
Well-
Their sights are much higher.
The only information I can give you on this is one of Mark Levin's staffers, one of the main people involved in this movement, said that we might be surprised by some of the filings we see that come out of people's offices. So let's see if, whoever's staff decides to unionize and rebel.
Do you mean
against their-
Andy Levin?
Oh, sorry. What did I say? Did I say Mark Levin? Yeah, Andy Levin.
Mark Levin is a horrible right-wing conservative
Yep.
radio host.
Truly. Sorry. Apologies, Andy.
Uh,
Andy Levin.
Thank you, Emma Lurking.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I was less triggered with that. That was Woke Wednesday, in which I was moderately triggered, but not that triggered. It was like,
Oh, but we got some good information out of you. For all you
Yeah.
junior
Did we?
analysts at Glass Lewis, you're welcome because you're going to get a raise today when you march into your boss's office and you're like, I think we should do blah blah blah. That's what you're going to do today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we
let
should
us
do blah blah
know.
blah.
Can you actually film that interaction and send it to us? We'd love to play it on the show when your boss says that's the dumbest idea you've ever had and you're fired.
And take off your
that's-
hard pants.
That's Damian Rollis and Emma Larkin. I'm Matt Miscardi. We are Free Float Media. We'll be back again tomorrow with a game of some kind.
Wait,
We'll
what? Another game?
It's
Oh.
a game tomorrow, baby. We'll see you tomorrow.